Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. Um, yeah, today I'm out at the garden and I've got my garden. I've already tilled it up with the tractor. My neighbors allow me to use this tractor. Uh, Really helpful. We're working together, getting multiple things done. So what I've done here is I've got my garden tilled. It's been tilled probably 3 times now since the summer or spring garden. I've got some 2 rows of carrots here. They're done so-so. I'm glad I'm not having to rely on those to provide food for my family at the moment. I've probably got, these are probably 40-foot rows or so, and I may have about 50 carrots in these 2 rows. And I've pruned them or kind of weeded them and pulled out all the weeds here. So it's the first time I've actually planted carrots in this garden. It does pretty good with beans, but I'm still working the soil and getting it redone. So over here, I've checked. First thing I've done is I've checked on the Farmer's Almanac and gardening by the moon. It seems to work pretty well for me. These were old seeds, so I don't know. We planted 2 packs seeds of carrots, so it could be seeds that I had in the freezer pulled out just trying them. So here I'm going to plant peas and broccoli, and I have a cedar also my neighbor has. So I'm going to use that and see if that works. Now, I did put triple 13 out over the seed bed along with potash from all the debris from the hurricane. Burnt that down, put it in the garden. And then I spread triple 13 and it sat in the garden for several months. 2 months or so, just kind of soaking in. And then I re-tilled and re-rowed. So we have a 4-foot tiller on the back of the tractor and 2, potato hillers. It's the disc, and that's what makes these rows. They're probably maybe 12 inches high, and then the little tractor fits right in the rows, and it makes nice rows, evenly spaced. But what I'm going to do is come back with my little tiller on my weed eater and knock some of the clumps out. And I'll go up and down each row, and then I'll come back with the cedar. So here's the tiller head that I'm going to be using. It's a 4-prong, and it does grab pretty good, so you got to kind of get used to this. Okay, so anything with gardening, you got to kind of work your method and how things are going to work best for you. With this thing, I tend to find that if you pull it, it pulls the dirt back, kind of like if you're hoeing a garden. This thing turns, away from you, and so it pulls the dirt back to you on the bottom side. So this was all perfectly tilled up until I used the row maker, which packed with the tractor and pulled up clumps of dirt. So I'm going down the center of the row, kind of knocking those clumps out, and then coming back down each side at an angle, pulling that dirt back up. So that's what I'm doing right here. I've got 2 more rows to do, and I've got rain on the horizon. So it'll be perfect if I can get my seeds in before it rains. this one is the Earthways cedar. I think I got the Chaplin cedar. And we're going to do peas, and these are small peas. So I'm going to stick these in here and see how they do. This is a really old cedar. It does have a little fertilizer hopper. I'll probably try to put a little bit in. Oh, somebody made a comment about the cart here, just buy a side-by-side. And that's fine. You can buy whatever you like or need. For me, this cart is way quieter than a side-by-side, and I can slip out to where I need to go. We do stalking, so something that's silent works really well for me. So that's why I have this particular one. And the winch is to pull my lawnmower out. So, or if I get stuck in a hole, I can pull the cart out. It's not, you know, if you're going off heavy duty mudding, get you a side-by-side or a four-wheeler, fine. But it's whatever you need, you know. That's, everybody's arguing over what you should do or what. Don't, just get what you need or what you can afford. Let's plant some seeds. So this one does have the fertilizer hopper, and I'm going to close it for now, but this fertilizer is kind of wet. Okay, just a quick show. See how there's 2 peas in there? I don't know if these are because they're so dehydrated, but it is planting 2 peas. You can kind of watch here, and I'm going to see if I can push. And you see my fertilizer. It's not really. I see the double peas. So I'm real concerned about putting 2 peas in the spot. And it's not covering. So here we go. And go down there. I've learned about growing vegetables in my little short time of doing it is you got to have enough fertilizer. Now this is triple 13. A lot of people recommend triple 8. These are peas, so with corn you got to have a lot of fertilizer. You fertilize about every 3 weeks to produce a decent stalk or head of corn. Now this is obviously commercial fertilizer, and I have a lot of chicken litter. So I do incorporate that into the garden as well, and that works really good. It tests out about triple 19, so it's pretty hot and it's organic material. So the fertilizer didn't work on the cedar, so I'm just going to run this, just sprinkle this through the rows on each. I ended up planting 4 rows, and then I'm going to cover it up. Okay, so I used these small beans and small peas for this plant, and that didn't work well for me in the seeds that I have. So don't do planting, or it seems like nowadays everybody, so that's not even worth saying. I'm always rushing, trying to get, I got to get this garden done, I got to get the next thing done, it's fixing to rain. You know, so I say don't rush, but that's good advice, but it's not practical, and it's not my life at the current status, and I don't think it's anybody's. So the small peas didn't work. It double seeded most every time, and it popped. So like a seed would get hung up because of the double seed. So maybe this is the next size. This beet and okra might work for the peas. And I'm going to try broccoli, which is super small. So you have okra and radish, medium. And then there's another one for potatoes, onions, cabbage, turnips. So these are for small, fine seeds. And that's what I'm going to try for broccoli, but broccoli is really fine. And I only have 2 packets. One's organic, oh, they're both organic, but they're both old. So we'll see. Let's load it up. So this one, you put the flat side here and align it with the grooves. Fairly simple here. You can't really mess up. And then turn it. Oh yeah, you want to help? I was actually supposed to have already planted last planting, but I didn't. Just planted 3 rows, and you can see maybe there's not that many seeds in there. So I think I've got it planted. I think this might have worked. That's what was left. So I put a pack and a half of seed in there. So I'm just going to spread these. I guess what I've learned with gardening is that you don't want to wait till you have to garden, if you know what I mean, in order to start, because you'll learn a lot of lessons just using the tiller head. That's sitting right there. You know, the way you hold it, just different things, and you can learn and learn quickly. But if you, with everything that's going on in the supply chains, waiting to the last minute to need something to feed your family is not too good. So you might, even in times when you can get everything, it's hard to actually produce a garden. So you don't want to be struggling to eat, you know, when you're dealing with all sorts of other things. So this is what I've learned. I used a new technique with the Earthways seeder and my tiller. The tiller works easy. There's no real hoeing, but you don't have to use that. You can use a cheap hoe. That weed eater setup, I bought a new weed eater. I already had the tiller head, but I think it was about $200. It's a Stilh setup. But I had bought it a long time ago to go up and down rows to knock the weeds out. And it does work well. So the more you spend sometimes, the easier it is. Like if I had a tractor, I could do this garden a lot easier, like I did. I've done this same garden with a walk behind tiller, and it's a pain. When you have a 4-foot tiller on the back of a tractor, it works great with a row maker. So, all right, well, thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time.